Dear friends, I want to wish you a Shabbat Shalom. And I want to wish you blessings of joy, happiness, life itself, especially as we're reeling from the terrible, tragic murder of a fellow member of our Jewish community, Michael Moshe ben Shlomo Mizrahi. This week, we will read a double portion of Chukat-Balak, and we also celebrate the 12th of Tammuz, Yud Bet Tammuz, which is a day of redemption, when the previous Rebbe, who was arrested by the Soviet authorities initially to kill him as a rebel, and eventually, miraculously, not only did they commute his sentence to exile, but even there, it was commuted to freedom, and miraculously, he was free, and very soon after, unfortunately, he had to be separated from his flock and leave Russia. So it's a great miracle of redemption, as the previous Rabbi himself said, that this is a redemption for all those who hold Torah dear, and for every single Jew, even if you're just Jewish by name, which in Russia at that time, this was already a phenomenon under communism, that some people were just Jewish by name. One of the things we find in the portion of Chukat-Balak is the Jewish people are at the border of Israel. They're about to enter, but there are many nations that lived along the border. There was Sichon, there was Og, Edom, which are our relatives, the descendants of Esav, Ammon, Moab, descendants of Lot. They all lived around the border. And what we find is that though the Jewish people never had any intention on occupying the border nations, they all were very afraid. They were all very afraid that the Jewish people will attack them. And when the Jewish people reached out and said, please let us pass through your land, and they gave all the offers, we will go very quickly, we will buy at any price you sell us food and beverage while we're crossing your land. You know, all the assurances that they don't want to do anything except to cross, and they'll give them honor, respect, and they turn to some of them as their relatives. We come from the same grandparents. And one by one, the Torah tells us, they said no. So obviously, Sichon and Og, the two superpowers, their whole existence, like Iran today, was to ward off the Jewish people, to destroy them, to protect everyone from the Jewish people. So they had to say no, because that was who they were, their identity. But Edom, the relatives of the Jews, the children of Esav, Ammon and Moab, what were they so against letting the Jews? They could have profited very heavily from it. And what does the Torah tell us about this? Because ultimately, the Jewish people were told, do not destroy them. Sichon and Og we did, but the others, do not destroy. This is not our purpose and mission. They are relatives and we have to think about them. And within this story, Hashem is pointing out to the Jewish people to understand how we're unique and different, why we're getting Israel and what we stand for. We were pleading to these nations, let us through, we're your relatives, care for us. We don't want to take anything from you, but you can help a relative. And their answer was, no, absolutely not. We have no pity, we have no mercy. You mean nothing to us. We'd love to see you dead. We don't want to see you anywhere near us and border us in any way. What was the Jewish people's response? We didn't touch them. We just moved around. And this is the contrast of what the Torah teaches us, how we have to behave. The idea of mercy, empathy, is a Jewish gene. It's in our DNA. It's not a commandment. It's part of our makeup. It's part of who we are. And this drives so much of how we behave and how we look at other people. Because we look at every human being inherently as another human being, as someone created by God. And therefore, as much as we can, we try to have empathy and mercy. Yes, there are times when we have to behave in a way that entails war, death, self-defense, but that's the extreme and that's not the normal. The norm is to have empathy, to feel, to care for, to think about others. And this is something that we were witness to this week. The great sense of unity between the Jewish people around the world. When they heard something is going on, even before we knew exactly what's happening, even before it was known that this person was shot dead, just shot, how everybody was thinking, reaching out, trying to not just find that information, trying to show that we're with you. This is what makes the Jewish people a great people. And when we have that sense of unity and empathy and feeling for each other, that's a gateway to strengthen our faith in Hashem as well. So this is what the previous Rebbe stood for. The previous Rebbe could have followed many others who left Russia when communism came in, but he said, no, I care for every single Jew. If I abandon, as a leader, I abandon the people, what will be with the people? I'll be here with them in Russia, and I'll do everything I can to give them the opportunity to still remain Jewish and have a place where their children can study, though it will be underground and illegal, and to pray, etc., etc. And this is what the previous Rebbe was arrested for, but it didn't stop him, and he kept on showing that empathy and that care for every single fellow Jew. And even if he moved to another country, it wasn't his natural habitat, he started to care about the Jews in that country with the same passion and feeling. And then when he ended up in America, exactly the same. And this is why this day is so important for us, because the Alter Rebbe once asked his students, what is greater, the love of Hashem or the love of a fellow Jew? They're both commandments in the Torah, and they answered, obviously the love of Hashem. That's the greatest mitzvah you can have, is to love God, the greatest level we can reach. And the Alter Rebbe said that's not the case. Loving a fellow Jew is greater, because when you love a fellow Jew, that's how you come to loving God. Because you can't really love a fellow Jew if God is not in the picture. If there's no God in the picture and it's just you and I, we're pitted against each other, I can never love you like I love myself. But when there's God in the picture, I could. And that helps to make our love to Hashem even stronger in a very revealed way. So Shabbat Shalom. God bless you all. We love you all. Candlelighting time in Montreal, 8:29 p.m.